Good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. Okay, let's start with the summary. Go to the last few pages. Standard costing. Point number 1. I'll first give some general points and then I come to specific points to the question. Standard costing analyzes the reasons for variation in profit, and fix up responsibility for the same. Reason for variation in profit and fix up responsibility for the same. Variation in profit and fix up responsibility for the same. Fix up responsibility for the same. Next point, variation in profit can occur either due to sales or cost. Center of the page, variation in profit, and split it into two. Sales, cost. Variation in profit, sales, cost. Variation in profit, sales, cost. Cost split into three. Material, labor, overheads. Variation in profit split into two. Sales, cost. Cost split into three. Material, labor, overheads. Overheads split into two. Variable overheads, fixed overheads. Variable overheads, fixed overheads. Now let's start writing. Question number 1. Point number 8, no special adjustment. Next point, standard quantity equal to actual output into input by output. Question number 2. Point number A, problem on multiple materials. Next point, loss in processing of 10%. Loss in processing of 10% would mean that input output ratio is 100:90. Loss in processing of 10% would mean that input output ratio is 100:90. Input output ratio is 100:90. Next point, RSQ is the total of actual output, total of actual quantity. RSQ is the total of actual quantity in standard mix. RSQ is the total of actual quantity in standard mix. Question number 3. Question number 3. AQ equal to opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Next point, AP into AQ. AP into AQ. AP into AQ needs to be computed. Needs to be computed as per FIFO method. Needs to be computed as per FIFO method. Full stop. AP for opening stock. AP for opening stock. AP for opening stock will be last year price. AP for opening stock will be last year price. Will be last year price. In bracket standard price. Will be last year price. And AP for current year purchase. And AP for current year purchase. AP for current year purchase will be current purchase price. AP for current year purchase will be current purchase price. Question number 4. Problem on missing information. Problem on missing information. Problem on missing information. Next point, use material usage variance. Use material usage variance. Material usage variance of product B. Use material usage variance of product B. Product B and calculate standard input. Calculate standard input. And calculate standard input. Next point, assume actual input of material A. Actual input of material A as X. Actual input of material A as X. And compute and use material mix variance to compute the same. Use material mix variance to compute the same. Next point, use other variances formulae. And compute the missing information. Use other variances formulae and compute the missing information. Okay, I'll now proceed to the balance variances. We had done with material variances. Now we'll shift to something called as labor variances. Okay, when we did material variances, we had two scenarios, single material and multiple materials. When it comes to labor variances, okay, in labor variances, you can see 4 types of scenario. First is single labor, multiple labor, and there's another scenario called as with idle time and without idle time. As far as laborers are concerned, there is an extra item called as idle time. What is idle time is, I am paying the workers but they are not working in that time. It could be because of multiple reasons. In the factory, there is a machine breakdown. So the worker is there, but he is not able to do anything because there is a breakdown of machinery. The worker is there is no electricity. The worker is there, but is not able to work because of tiredness. It could be multiple reasons why a worker is not able to work. Even in idle time, there can be a normal idle time and abnormal idle time. The accounting of this you would have learnt in labor chapter. I wouldn't have discussed it, but it would have been there as part of theory. So as far as labor is concerned, we are going to see 4 scenarios. Single labor without idle time, single labor with idle time, multiple labor without idle time, multiple labor with idle time. The calculation is not going to be materially different. It's going to be fairly simple calculation. Whatever we had done in whatever we had done in material, broadly the same thing I'm going to continue. So I'll explain, I'll tell you to note it down in some time. Situation 1 is single labor without idle time. So the workers are working and there is no concept of idle time. That is, there is no wastage of time which has happened within the company. There can be sometimes wastage happen, which is called as idle time. In this scenario, there is no idle time, no wastage of time in the company. What was x-axis and y-axis in labor? Quantity and price. X-axis was quantity and this is price. As far as labor is concerned, the expenses depend on 2 items: hours worked and rate per hour. That is the predominantly used basis. So this side I will have time and this side I will have rate. So we have ST AT, or I'll call it as standard hours and actual hours, SH and AH, SR and AR, SR and AR, standard rate and actual rate. So standard rate per hour, actual rate per hour, standard hours, actual hours. How standard hours is calculated? Labor chapter. In labor chapter you would have learned standard time is computed with the help of actual output. We used to write standard equation: so many units is equal to so many hours, ST is equal to AO, question mark equal to AO, and finally you used to get the standard time. The same analysis is going to continue here. Computation table is very simple: SR into SH, SR into AH, AR into AH. Exactly the same thing we had done: SR into SH, SR into AH and AR into AH. There it used to be SP into SQ, SP into AQ, AP into AQ. In this problem, SR into SH, SR into AH, AR into AH. Any doubts in this? SR into SH, SR into AH and AR into AH. What this part was called in material? Price variance. Here it is called as rate variance. What this part was called? Here it is called as efficiency. Here it is called as efficiency and rate. There it is called as price and usage. I need not tell you the formula, you will tell me the formula. What is the formula for labor rate variance? SR into AH minus AR into AH. Labor efficiency? SR into SH minus SR into AH. Labor cost variance? SR into SH minus AR into AH. I don't have much to explain here. What is SR, SH and all? I'll tell you some notes in some time. So chart, computation table, formulae. Chart is this. You copy this. Computation table is SR into SH, SR into AH, AR into AH, and your formula is labor rate variance is equal to SR into SH minus SR into SR into AH minus AR into AH. Labor efficiency is SR into SH minus SR into AH. Efficiency is the difference between standard hours and actual hours. If you remember, in labor we used to calculate efficiency with the help of SH and AH. The same logic continues here. Rate variance is the difference between SR and AR. Any doubts on this? So start with this: single labor without idle time. Start with single labor without idle time. Start with single labor without idle time. Friends, I don't know what is there to discuss. In case you don't want to write it, I move to the next one. You want to write it, otherwise we move to the next one. I seriously don't understand what is there to talk. Put the chart, based on the chart get the computation table, and based on the computation table and the chart get the formulae. In case you need any guidance, let me know. Single labor without idle time. Can we proceed? Now write note. Point number 1. SR refers to rate to be paid. SR refers to rate to be paid every hour. SR refers to rate to be paid every hour. And AR refers to rate actually paid per hour. AR refers to rate actually paid per hour. Next point, SH will always be computed. SH will always be computed with the help of actual output. SH will always be computed with the help of actual output. Will always be computed with the help of actual output. Any doubts on single labor? Clear? Can we proceed? Okay. Single labor, keep listening and then you can note it down. With idle time. Idle time basically refers to the time for which a person gets wages but he doesn't produce anything. It could be because of n number of reasons. So technically idle time is the difference between actual hours paid, which is 100, minus actual hours worked, which is 80. So 100 minus 80 or 90 minus 80. Actual hours worked is there and actual hours paid is there. The difference between these two is called as idle time. I pay for 100 hours but the person works only for 90 hours. This side I have SR, AR, SH, AH. This is what I had written in the earlier working note, SH and AH. Now this will be split as AHW and AHP. AHW is actual hours worked and AHP is actual hours paid. Computation table is simple, SR into SH, SR into AHW, SR into AHP, AR into AHP. This part is called as rate, efficiency, idle time. Why idle time? Idle time is the difference between actual hours worked and actual hours paid. Whatever is the difference between worked and paid will get captured as idle time. Rate variance is self-explanatory for you. SR and AR difference. Efficiency is the difference between SH and AHW, because I can calculate efficiency only by comparing how many hours a person has worked. If I compare with paid, there is obviously a concept of idle time which comes in between. So SR and AR difference is called as rate variance. AHW and AHP differences idle time. This is self-explanatory. This part is called as efficiency variance. So this is part 1. Part 2 is the computation table, which is SR into SH, SR into AHW, SR into AHP, AR into AHP. The main variance is called as cost variance and will be split into 3. What are 3? Rate, efficiency, idle time. You are splitting this into 3. These two together, there is no variance name. Earlier it used to be mix and yield put together, used to be called as something. Here it is efficiency separate, idle time separate. What is the formula for labor efficiency variance? SR into SH minus SR into AHW. Labor idle time variance? AHW minus SR into AHP. Rate variance? SR into AHP minus AR into AHP. Labor cost variance? SH minus AR into AHP. Go ahead and do it. I don't have much to explain beyond one variance which I started with, the material variance alone. I had to explain you. Beyond that, everything is self-explanatory. Friends, again I am repeating the same thing. I don't want any discussion in the class, no cross talks, not interested, please walk out. Okay, can I proceed to the next one? Can we proceed? So then please maintain silence. In case you want time to write it, please maintain silence. If you have written, let others complete it. Okay, I'll proceed to the third scenario. We'll do problems after doing all the scenarios. Any doubts on single labor with idle time? Scenario 3. Okay, write note below that. Note. Idle time refers to hours paid but not worked. Refers to hours paid but not worked. Full stop. Idle time equal to AHP minus AHW. Actual hours paid minus actual hours worked. Idle time equal to actual hours paid minus actual hours worked. Scenario 3 is multiple labor without idle time. Like we had single labor without idle time, we'll have now multiple labor without idle time. Listen for 2 minutes. What we had this side? SH AH. This is what we had in the first scenario. When it's multiple labor, in between RSH will come. In between RSH will come. Broadly the same thing. SR into SH, SR into RSH, SR into AH, AR into AH, rate, efficiency put together, yield, mix. Yield and mix. What is the formula for labor mix variance? SR into RSH minus SR into AH. Labor yield variance? SR into RSH. Labor efficiency? Into SH minus SR into AH. Now the only thing is there are other names for it. Mix is otherwise called as gang. Labor mix variance or labor gang variance. Yield is also otherwise called as sub efficiency. So that names alone I'll tell you to write in some time. So put the chart, from the chart computation table, from the computation table you will get to the formulae. Any doubts, let me know. Labor yield is otherwise called as sub efficiency. Mix is otherwise called as gang. Yield is otherwise called as sub efficiency. Mix is otherwise called as gang. If you have missed the last class, you will find it extremely difficult to understand this for the time being. You can't do much. Note it and then later on ask doubts if at all you have. You can't do much if you have missed the last class. Yield is otherwise called as sub efficiency. Mix is otherwise called as gang. Again, I cannot be repeating this multiple times. I don't want any there's any confusion in any of the formulae, please let me know. Chart will give you the computation table will give you the formulae. Friends, if you have noted down, you can maintain silence. Else I should not give you time to note down and I have to keep proceeding. Your mix is otherwise called as labor gang variance. Yield is otherwise called as sub efficiency variance. Come down, note. Point number 1, RSH is the total of actual hours in standard mix. RSH is the total of actual hours in standard mix. Total of actual hours in standard mix. Clear? Any doubts on this? Okay. The last scenario which is there for labor, which is multiple labor. All scenarios are pretty simple if you understand what we did in material variances part 1. This side we have SR, AR, SH, AH. This is the normal formula. Because it is multiple labor, you will have RSH in between. Because it is idle time, it will become AHW and AHP. RSH will come in between because there is multiple labor. AH will become AHW and AHP because it is idle time. Pretty much simple. SR into SH, SR into RSH, SR into AHW, SR into AHP, AR into AHP. This part is rate. Idle time is AHW and AHP. This together is called as efficiency. In this it is yield mix. The logic for mix variance was given when we did material. The same logic is going to continue here. What will be the formula for labor yield variance? SR into SH minus SR into RSH. Labor mix variance H minus SR into AHW. Labor rate variance into AHP minus AR into AHP. Labor idle time variance into AHW minus SR into AHP. Labor efficiency variance SR into SH minus SR into AHW. Clear? Any doubts on this? Put the chart, based on the chart, computation table and then the formula. Can we proceed? Any doubts in this? Anybody has any doubts in this? Can we? Okay. How do you calculate RSH? RSH is the total of, please participate. RSH is the total of actual hours in standard mix. When you do this scenario, you will see two actual hours. There is an actual hours worked and also there is an actual hours paid. So for this purpose, it is the total of AHW. Why AHW? Because mix is comparing these two items. Mix is not comparing RSH with AHP. If it was comparing with AHP, then you can put AHP in standard mix. But mix is the comparison of RSH, which is in standard mix, and AHW, which is in actual mix. So RSH is the total of actual hours worked in standard mix. So write a note. RSH is the total of actual hours, is the total of actual hours worked. You can underline worked. RSH is the total, or a different color pen, is the total of actual hours worked in standard mix. You will see both being there, actual hours worked and actual hours paid. So we compute the difference between RSH and AHW to get the mix variance. Any doubts on this? Can we proceed? So these are the four scenarios. I need not even explain in detail about the four scenario. If you are clear on the chart, things will automatically fall into place. When we do the first thing, you have only SH and AH. When you do the second thing, you have SH, AHW and AHP. When you do the third thing, you don't have this SH, RSH and AH. Fourth thing is SH, RSH, AHW and AHP. The rules remain the same, the formulae remain the same. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Let's do question number 5. The standard output of product EXC is 25 units per hour in manufacturing department of a company employing 100 workers. Standard wage rate. In a 42-hour week, the department produced 1040 units of EXC despite 5% loss due to abnormal reason. Hourly wage rate, compute relevant variances. Please go through the question. Okay, let's start discussing this. Now, this is a problem on, first we'll have to determine whether it's a single labor, multiple labor, with idle time, without idle time. Now, a multiple labor refers to a scenario where the question says there is a grade A, grade B, are skilled, unskilled, men, women, some categorization has to be made. In this question, I don't see any categorization. So, this is a problem on single labor. Is there any idle time? 5% of the time paid was lost due to abnormal reason. So this is a problem on single labor with idle time. For the time being, I ignore this line. I'll rework with this. So I will do as if this line is not there. So let's first do single labor without idle time. This is a problem with idle time, but that I'll do it as a rework scenario. So originally, let's do as if there is no idle time in the question. So without idle time, whatever categorization is there, we will work with that. So working note 1, computation table. Computation table. We are going to do the problem as if it is single labor without idle time. Let's write in the side. You can do this chart for few problems so that you get used to it. You will get I'll come in 2 minutes. You keep doing this. This is your computation table which comes from the chart. SR into SH, SR into AH, AR into H. What is SR? The company wanted to pay 6 rupees. That is your SR. What rate they have paid? 6.2, 6 and 5.7. I have to take a weighted average of this in the calculator. 6.2 into 10 workers. 6.2 into 10 equal to M plus. 6.2 into 10 equal to M plus. 6 into 30 equal to M plus. 5.7 into 60 equal to M plus. Few workers are getting 6.2, few workers are getting 6, few workers are getting 5.7. I have to take a weighted average. I cannot take a simple average. I would have taken simple average if it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So 6.2 into 10 plus 6 into 30 plus 5.7 into 60 whole divided by 100. What number you get? 5.84. 5.84. Okay, that is your AR. 5.84. Any doubts on this? You can put an asterisk mark and show the calculation if you want to. It is 6.2 into 10 workers plus 6 into 30 workers. It is basically 6.2 into 10, 6 into 30, 5.7 into 60 whole divided by 100. Memory function is used so that you can avoid some adding and noting down figures. You can just put it in the calculator memory and finally get the number. 6.2 into 10 equal to M plus, 6 into 30 equal to M plus, 5.7 into 60 equal to M plus, MRC by 100. 5.84. Any doubts in this?
We need not find the labor variances for the whole 100 workers or just one worker?
Whole 100 workers will find. You will understand. Keep 5.84. Any doubts in this? What is actual hours AH? What is AH? 42 hours. In a 42-hour week, the department has produced, right? AH equal to 42. 2 places. AH is 42. What is AH? Can you again see the question? No, not that 5% adjustment. That I have removed. Let's ignore that. Let's not worry about that. It's not 42. It's not 42. 42? No, divide by what you said? Why 7?
1040 divided by 25.
No, not 1040 divided by 25, not 42. Not 42 divided by 7. Where is the 7 coming from, first of all? Why 42 by 7? Which one? No, not because of that. It's 4,200. Labor I had told multiple times, it's man hours and not calendar hours. In a 42-hour week, 100 people are working. So 42 into 100 is the actual hours. The number of hours has to be man hours and not calendar hours. So we are going to do calculation for all the 100 people and it's 4,200 hours. It is not 42 hours. In a 42-hour week, how many people are working? 100 people are working in the company. So the AH is 4,200. Again, not a new adjustment for you. I have done this in the labor chapter. In labor chapter, I have explained this to you that term AT and ST refers to man hours and not calendar hours. We have written summary of adjustment also on that, saying that it's man hours and not calendar hours. So in a 42-hour week, 100 people are working. So it's 4,200 hours. Any doubts on this? Any doubts on this? And there's no linkage between 1040 and 25. All of that is of no use. Don't end up linking them. What is produced by the company, I'm least interested in calculating actual hours. Actual hours means how many hours did the workers work or get paid for. They have worked for 42 hours and 100 people are working, so it's 4,200. Any doubts on this? Next, come down, calculation of SH. Calculation of SH. Standard equation. calculation of SH. I told you in labor chapter that I'll again do this in standard costing and will continue to struggle here as well. So there also the struggle was there. Here also you may end up again struggling with standard time. Be extremely careful. It has to be computed with the help of actual output. What is the standard equation? 25 units is equal to 1 hour. 25 units is equal to 1 hour. AO equal to ST. Actual output is equal to standard time or standard hours, both are same. AO equal to ST. What is the actual output? 1040 is equal to question mark 41 point. Something seemed to be wrong because 41.6 and your actual hours is 4200. Why will you do into 100? Man hours, and you cannot do final into 100. You will have to do into 100 at this stage itself. Why into 100 is needed at this stage is sometimes the company will say that the company wanted to start with 100 workers, but in reality they may use only 80 workers. There's a possibility that you may have only 80 workers. So the standard equation is not 1 hour is equal to 25 units. The standard equation is 100 man hours is equal to 25 units. You read the line carefully. 25 units per hour by employing 100 workers. If I employ 200 workers, I'll write 50 units per hour. So the standard equation could be with 100 workers. In reality, you may end up employing even 200 workers. That doesn't mean last number I'll multiply with 200. My standard equation is not 25 units equal to 1 hour. You correct it with a different pen. It's 25 units equal to 100 man hours. It's 25 units equal to 100 man hours. Why not multiplication at this stage? Because if it changes as 80, you will make a mistake here. It's not necessary that the plan was 100 workers and actual has to be 100. Sometimes it may turn out to be 40 workers also. So the equation itself is incorrect. The equation is not 25 units equal to 1 hour. It is 25 units equal to 100 hours. Any doubts on this? Both the places you have made a mistake on the man hours concept. In AH also we made a mistake. In SH also we have made a mistake. It will keep happening. As you do more and more problems, it will become clearer. In labor, the man hours concept will not be tested much. There, you will not have a scenario of man hours being tested much. In standard costing, the man hours concept will keep getting tested. Every problem, they'll give the number of workers data. There, it used to be only one worker data. Worker A calculation, worker B calculation, worker C calculation. Here, it will be always 100 workers, 200 workers, 300 workers. So, the concept of man hours will keep getting tested at multiple places. Any doubts on this? Any doubts? So SH is not 41.6, it is? My role is over. You will apply the formula and get the answer. What is the last one? 5.8. How much? 5 to 8. That's what the only issue which you will face is, in reality, if there are not 100 workers, you will end up making a mistake. If that's what I said, if in reality there are, so originally 100, but in reality there are only 80 workers. That time this will not work out. So let's do a scenario which will work out in all problems. Into 100 will work in this question. I don't have a doubt on that. Any doubts in this? Always SH will become an issue in most of the questions. SH will continue to be an issue in most of the question. Can we proceed? Any doubts on this? Can I proceed? Clear? Anybody has any doubts on this? Done? Okay, same problem we are going to rework as if it is there in the question. The question had said despite 5% of the time lost due to abnormal reasons. So let's bring that original question and do it now. This was to just explain you single labor without idle time. Originally the problem is single labor with idle time. Any doubts till now? Let's first draw the chart for single labor with idle time. Single labor with idle time. SR. Major part of the question will get copy pasted from the earlier working note, except for two things which I have to calculate. SR, AR, SH, AHW and AHP. SR will continue to be whatever was there. What was the SR? AR is 5.84. Now listen, AHP is, listen for a minute, AHP is 42 into 100 workers, whatever you had written earlier. AHP is 42 into 100 workers. AHW is 4,200 minus 5%. That did not work for 5% of the time. SH, SH, other things will remain same. What was the SH earlier? The AHW alone is 4200 minus 5%. You'll have to subtract 5%, which is 3990. Everything else remains same. 4200 is HP and AHW is 3990. 3990. The variances, overall variances and all is now going to change, just that some of the sub variances will change. Any doubts on this? The formula will come from your chart. Can you proceed? Any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts on this? Okay, let's move to question number 6. Complete it. Let me know if there are doubts. Anybody has any doubts, please let me know about it. Okay, can you proceed? Any doubts on this? Okay, I'll move to the next question. Let's go to the 6th question. Okay. The standard labor employment and actual labor engaged in a 40 hours week for a job are as under standard output, actual output, abnormal idle time. Calculate labor cost variance, labor efficiency and labor idle time. Please go through the question. Can you just adjust that a little? Just bring it this side. Should be. Okay, now coming to this question, is it a single labor, multiple labor? Multiple labor, skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled, with or without idle time? With idle time. There's an abnormal idle time, 2 hours in the week. So let's start. Put the chart first. SR, AR, SR, AR, SH, RSH, AHW, AHP, SR, AR, SH, RSH, AHW and AHP. SR into SH, SH, RSH, AHW, AHP and AR into AHP, AR into AHP. This used to be rate, yield, mix, idle time. The question has not asked for all variances, but we'll do everything. The question has asked only for few variances. They've asked for efficiency, cost and idle time, but we'll end up doing yield, mix, rate, everything. Let's do it. Any doubts on the computation table? The chart will give you the computation table. Now, can we start? In this side, you will have to write what are the categories. So, skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled, skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled, skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. We'll fill rate first in this order and then in the reverse order we'll fill the hours. Skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. What's the standard rate? 45. Yeah, please participate. 30 and 15. 45 rupees, 30 rupees and 15 rupees. Standard wage rate 45, 30 and 15. 45, 30 and 15. Fill this at 4 places. (45, 30 and 15) at 4 places. 45, 30 and 15. (45, 30 and 15). ARS 50, 35 and 10. ARS 50, 35 and 10. 50, 35 and 10. SR is 45, 30 and 15, AR is 50, 35 and 10. Okay. Coming to actual hours. What is the actual hours? Actual hours paid. Actual hours paid. What will be the actual hours paid? 4,000 is the overall number. I need separately for skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. We are not going to do it together. So tell me what is actual hours paid. Go through the question and tell me. 2,000? Where is 2,600 come? It is actual hours I have been asking. It is going to be 50 workers into 40 hours, 30 workers into 40 hours, 20 workers into 40 hours. Wait for a minute. This will be actual hours paid. You will do into 38, that is actual hours worked, because abnormal idle time is 2 hours in the week. So actual hours paid is going to be 50 workers into 40, 30 workers into 40, 20 workers into 40. When it comes to worked, same number of workers, 50 workers into 38, 30 workers into 38, 20 workers into 38. The concept is man hours. I cannot be using calendar hours, and I cannot be writing a single number called as 4,000. We cannot write single number. We will have to write separately. So now write actual hours is 50 workers into 40 hours. 2,000, 1,200 and 800. 2,000, 1,200 and 800. $2,000, 1,200 and 800. 50 workers into 40 hours, 30 workers into 40 hours, 20 workers into 40 hours. You want to show the calculation, you can show it as a separate note, not a complex calculation, so I've written it directly. 50 workers into 40 hours, 30 workers into 40 hours, 20 workers into 40 hours. When it comes to actual hours worked, it's going to be, so 1,900 1,900, 1,140 and 760. 1,900, 1,140 and 760. 1,900, 1,140 and 760. Any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts on this? Clear? Can we proceed? Any doubts on this? Come down. Calculation of RSH. Calculation of RSH. Calculation of RSH. Underline that. Total of AHW equal to. Now listen, it becomes critical. What is RSH? RSH total of AHW. You end up writing total of AHP, you will make a mistake, because the question, the formula is RSH is the total of actual hours in standard mix, but at times you may get a doubt whether it's actual hours worked or actual hours paid. The concept is RSH and AHW is compared, not RSH and AHP. So that is why it is total of AHW. What is the total of AHW? 3,800 split into 3, skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. Skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. 3,800 is the total. Skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. Now listen. Which one? What is the ratio? It's not 3:2:1. 3:2:1 is your rate. The ratio is 65:20:15, which is the number of workers. The ratio is going to be 65:20:15. The ratio is given in the question. Standard number of workers is 65, 20 and 15. That's the composition. I told people you work as 65, 20, 15. These guys did not follow what I told and they used a different mix. So that can lead to either a favorable variance or an adverse variance. So 65:20:15. How much is the first one? Skilled is 2470, 760 and 570. It was 2470. Okay, 2470, 760 and 570. You will need calculation for two items in most of the question, RSH and SH. Apart from this, additional calculation may be required, but these two are more or less like mandatory. Every problem, this data will be kind of missing. Any doubts in this? Now listen, if it's an exam problem, I don't need RSH for this question because they've asked me only labor cost, labor efficiency and labor idle time. You should think what is the formula for that and then end up creating the table, or you end up creating the entire table. It may take you extra 1 minute or so, and compute only whatever is required. Don't end up computing all the variances. Next, calculation of SH. Calculation of SH. This will be the most trickiest in the question. Calculation of SH. Standard equation equal to, standard equation colon, standard equation colon. Can you tell me what is the standard equation? What is the equation? 50 units is equal to
100 hours.
No.
2000 hours is equal
To
to 45 units.
no, I heard 50 units is equal to 1 hour. That's incorrect. 100 hours. That's incorrect. 50 units is equal to what you said? Yeah, correct. 50 units is equal to 100 hours is correct. She has, so the point is your standard equation is 2000 units of output is given, standard output 2000 units, and this is the standard composition. So what they are saying in the question is the standard labor employment and actual labor engaged in a 40-hour week for a job are as under. In 40 hours, by employing 100 people, the company will produce 2000 units. In 40 hours, by employing 100 people, the company will produce 2000 units. So the standard equation is 40 into 100 workers, 4000 hours is equal to 2000 units. 4000 hours is equal to 2000 units. How 4000 hours? 40 hours, 100 people. So they will work for 4000 hours. I told them that you work for 4000 hours and produce 2000 units. Now they are saying we have produced only 1800. If you have produced only 1800, I cannot give you 4000 hours. I'll give you lesser time. I gave you 4000 hours to produce 2000 units. How 2000 units? That's the standard output. The term standard and budget will be interchangeably used at multiple places. Technically, it is like budgeted output. They wanted to produce 2000 units by working for 4000 hours. They wanted to work for 4000 hours and produce 2000 units. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? And this is the most trickiest part as far as this question is concerned. 40 hours into 100 workers. Now write standard equation. Standard equation. 4000 hours is equal to 2000 units. 4000 hours is equal to 2000 units. 4000 hours is equal to 2000 units. ST equal to AO, question mark equal to 1800 units, and the question mark is
3600 hours.
you will split this in the ratio of 65:20:15. 65:20:15. Any doubts on this calculation? 3600 hours, 1800 units is equal to 3600 hours. Any doubts on this part? Do the multiplication, let me know the totals. What is the total of the first one?
1,35,000.
1,35,000. 42. This one? 1,31,000.
1,38,000. 1,50,000.
50,000. Let me know if there are doubts in any of the variances. Take your time and compute the variances. Let me know if there are doubts. compute the variances. Let me know if there are doubts. Any doubts in any of the variances? The formula will come from the chart. You should be in a position to do. The major calculation will stop here. If you get the computation table correctly, getting the variances is more of a formality. There's nothing much there. Formula from the chart and you end up computing it. As you proceed more and more problem, the chart will get registered in your mind and you can even do it without looking at the chart. There's no necessity that you'll have to look at the chart and do it. Cost is 15,000 adverse, rate is 12,000 adverse, idle time is 6,900 adverse, efficiency 3,900 favorable, yield 7,500, mix 11,400. The question has not asked for some of the variances. We have done everything more for practice. Let me know if there are doubts here. The moment the computation table is done, it's more of a formality. In case you have a doubt in any of the formulae, please let me know. Don't end up copying the answer. It's not going to serve any purpose. I have not written the formula also there. So you have a doubt how the answer is computed, let me know. The formula will come from the chart. You have a doubt, let me know. I'll still clarify it. The formula is going to come from the chart. Okay, can we proceed? Any doubts on this? Any doubts on this? Can I move to the next question? Any doubts on this? Don't copy the solution. You are still doing it. I'll wait. Let me know in case there are doubts. Else I proceed to the next one. Done? Okay. Let's move to question 7 then. Go through the question. I'm removing this part of the question. We'll do without idle time. Go through the question. I'm removing this part of the question. Go through the question. Please go through the question. I want, friends, please take time to read the question. You don't read the question, then you end up making silly mistakes. Please go through the question. I have removed one part, which is 2 hours were lost due to abnormal idle time. That part, I am removing it from the question. You can start doing it. No, this is just to in the class. Okay, now coming to this question, there are 3 categories of workers mentioned, so it becomes multiple labor. It's without idle time because I've removed that line. Otherwise, it was a problem of multiple labor with idle time. We have already done multiple labor with idle time, so let's do without idle time one scenario. That's where I've removed this. Let's put the chart. You can keep doing it. I'll guide you only through SH. I'm not going to even tell you how to do RSH. Only SH I'll guide you through. Other things you can keep doing it. You can refer to the board in case you need any help. The only thing which I'm going to guide is I've removed the line on 2 hours lost due to abnormal idle time. Without that, we are doing this question. Any doubts on RSH, AH? If no, I move to SH calculation. Some of you could have done it also. Can we move to SH? You have a doubt, please let me know, I clarify that. Major chunk of standard costing will become easy the moment we understand about standard hours. That is one thing, standard hours and standard quantity, all that is clear. And material variance, a single material. The first class, whatever that intro initial 30 minutes you understand, everything else is going to be the same way. Today nothing new has been taught. In fact, it's the same chart. I kept on changing the chart format and we kept on getting new formulae. Can we move to SH calculation? Can we move to SH? Okay. Any doubts till now? Can you tell me what is the standard equation?
800 hours for 20 people, 1000 units.
800?
1000 units.
Yeah, 800 hours equal to 1000 units is the equation. Once you understand that, the problem is over. It's 800 hours equal to 1000 units. Why 800 hours? A week consists of 40 hours and 20 people. A week consists of 40 hours and 20 people. So it's 800 hours equal to 1000 units, and the problem ends there. I don't have much to explain beyond this. 800 hours is equal to 1000 units. Any doubts on this? Any doubts on 800 hours equal to 1000 units? So standard equation is 800 hours equal to 1000 units. 800 hours is equal to 1000 units. RSH is total of actual hours, which is 520 plus 160 plus 120, 800 divided in the ratio of 10:5:5 or 2:1:1, divided in the ratio of 2:1:1. 800 hours equal to 1000 units. ST equal to AO. Question mark, what is the actual output?
960.
You will get it as what?
768 hours.
Which again split in the ratio of 2:1:1, which will be split in the ratio of 2:1:1, 384, 192 and 192. 384, 192 and 192. 384, 192 and 192. Any doubts on this? Any doubts on this? The most important part is SH. You get it correctly, everything else will easily fall into place. 384, 192 and 192. Any doubts? You have a doubt, let me know, I'll clarify that. The issue will always be SH computation. The issue is going to be SH computation in most of the questions. Any doubts on this? What's the total? 38,400. 40,000. 41? 900. Let me know if there are any doubts on this. I don't have much to explain. The explanation of standard costing ended in the first 30 minutes of the class which we had done. In the first 30 minutes, whatever explanation was given, that's more than enough for every area of standard costing. Let me know if there are any doubts. Can we proceed? Any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts on this question? Clear? Can we proceed? Let's move to question number 8. Please go through question 8. Please go through the question. Just do a small change in the question. The standard should have come here and actual should have come here. The alignment is an issue. Standard is the first two columns and actual is the next two columns. It should have come that way. Standard, actual. Go through question 8. There's an alignment issue. That I'm not doing it in the class. You can manage at home. Okay, now coming to this question, they've asked for material cost, price, usage, labor cost, rate and efficiency. They have asked for few variances. We'll end up doing all the variances. Now, as far as this question is concerned, SB Construction Limited has engaged into a big contract at an agreed price, escalation clause. They have given standard and actual. There is no concept of an actual output per se given in the question. So standard price is this, standard quantity is available, actual price is this, actual quantity is available. All the four numbers are directly available. You have SP directly, SQ directly, AP directly, AQ directly. At max you will have to calculate RSQ, which is the total of AQ in some mix. Similarly, for labor, SR is available, SH is available, AR is available, AH is available, no calculation at all. You just need to do RSH for the purpose of mixed variance. So let's start with material variances, multiple material variances. SP into SQ. You want to put the chart, you can put it. I have not put the chart on the side. SP into SQ, SP into RSQ. All numbers are readily available. SP into SQ, SP into RSQ, SP into AQ, and AP into AQ. It's more for practice. All the values are readily available in the question. No, we are doing all the variances. In exam scenario, you will not need this. In class, we are doing all the variances. No discussions, please. All the figures are readily available. We normally compute SQ at least. That is also readily available in the question. Same, you'll have to do the total of AQ in the ratio of 30 is to 24 is to 5 is to 1. 30 is to 24 is to 5 is to 1. If someone has done, can you tell me RSQ? Round off and tell me then. What number? 31. Okay. 25. 530. Or leave it 532.5 itself. There will be huge impact of rounding off here. 106.5. Leave it as fine. 532.5 and 106.5. 532.5 and 106.5. Can you tell me the total of the first column? 90. Second one. Just for practice, the concept remains same. Doing this problem only for the purpose of practice. In case you have doubt with any of the number, please let me know. If there are doubts with any of these numbers, do let me know about it.
64,800.
Yeah, keep going. In case you have doubts, please let me know about it. Use memory function to do the calculation, that will be simpler. What is the second total you said? 1 crore? 64?
800.
You can have some small rounding of difference here and there. Let's not worry about it. 1 crore 3 lakh?
5,25,000.
1 crore 5 lakh?
25.
Complete this and then do the labor variances. Let me know if there are any doubts on this. Some small rounding off difference can be there for the second part, up and down. You can have differences. It can be even to the extent of 10, 20,000 because of rounding off. Any doubts on the material variances? Any doubts on the material variances? First column, third column and fourth column should be same for everyone. Second column can be slightly different depending on how you have rounded off. 3195, 2556, 532.5 and 106.5 is what I have taken. You take it slightly different, you will get a different answer. Done? Any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts on this? Let me know if there are any doubts. Complete this. This is the easiest problem. SH, AH, everything is readily available. What is this number? Second column. Third.
19 lakh 80,000. 23 lakh 38,000.
Complete this problem. With that, we'll end today's session. Complete this. Let me know if there are any doubts.